Hi, I'm Matthew Skelton. I'm one of the co-organisers of Pipeline Conference 2018, and I'm here with Daniel Jones from Engineer Better, who gave a talk earlier on today called Continuous Delivery is Better for Your Brain. So I'd just like to ask you, Daniel, why is continuous delivery better for your brain?
Okay, so that comes down to three broad areas. Part of it comes down to the regularity of delivery. So being able to deploy into production regularly means that you get an increased sense of reward, a more frequent reward. And that reward, there have been various studies that show that a sense of reward increases your self-control, which means that you're less likely to incur technical debt. So that's one way that you can do it. Continuously delivering the most important thing in the simplest way in a roundabout way means that deadlines become meaningless, right? You're always taking the shortest route to the most important thing. At which point, like sticking a date on a calendar, it doesn't matter. It doesn't factor into the equation of how fast you're going. The pressure of deadlines negatively impacts people. It's called the scarcity effect, and it will mean that you have a reduced fluid intelligence, you have reduced self-control, and you're less able to remember to do stuff in the future. All of which are pretty bad if you're on an engineering team, right? So that's another aspect of how continuous delivery helps with technical debt. Additionally, continuous delivery requires a certain amount of automation. And that automation means that we can move from having silos to a cross-functional team with a shared identity. When you have people considering other humans as other rather than self, it's shown that they're less able to empathize with them. And empathy leads to sociability, and sociability is positively correlated with productivity. So if you can get people with a shared identity, then they're going to talk more fluidly, more freely, they're going to understand each other better, they're going to have a shared sense of the problem they're trying to solve, and that will lead to a more productive outcome. So that's another factor in it. And the third one is trying to exploit the present bias. So continuous delivery means that we should be working on one feature at a time, rather than a whole bunch of features and working on one aspect of them. Like, we do all the tests, all the manual testing for all of this quarter's features in one block, and then we'll go on to the non-functional tests. By working on one feature at a time, it means that everything that's important for that feature is important here and now, not 3 months later to some other team that I don't know or I don't care about. So that's allowing us to exploit our biology and exploit the psychology inherent from our biology.
So this sounds very much like we're really understanding how humans work in order to make continuous delivery work better. It's not just about automation. We're now really thinking about the kind of the human beings in this equation.
Absolutely, and I mean an original version of this talk was called Anthropic Sympathy for that reason, and that a lot of the practices, and when people were trying to work out how to make software development at scale, they were looking at how do we make other things at scale. And a lot of project management practices that came out of the US Navy after the Second World War, things like PERT charts and Gantt charts and project planning, came out of trying to build big physical things. So we copied things that weren't optimized for how humans work. And if you look at humans, like, we are rubbish at most things, right? I spent a lot of time doing martial arts. I have no claws. I have fists that will shatter if I punch someone. I have no teeth. Like, the only thing humans are good at, like, we don't eat, like, we have to bring a microclimate around with us if we're going to survive. The only thing we're good at is sociability and collaborating with people on problems. So it kind of follows that actually working collaboratively is in line with our strengths. And you can see all sorts of anti-patterns in large enterprises where people are disincentivized from working together, working in cubicles, they don't get very much human contact, and we can all see how inefficient those things are. So I think taking a more humanistic angle on things kind of explains why a lot of those practices aren't as efficient as they should be, and why we're not seeing the productivity gains that we should be seeing from technology.
That's great. Daniel, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matthew.